So never think just because you are in this area that you are, you cannot have this huge impact. Every little thing does add up. So don't think you're not well resourced. Don't think you're not well educated. Don't think you need something else to add. No. Wherever you are, with the level of education you have, with the level of resource that you have an opportunity to bring impact. So please continue to inspire others, because it's only when we share our stories, and sometimes we think our stories are not great enough to inspire, but trust me, you'll be amazed when you share your story. Another woman will be encouraged, another woman will be inspired to do more with themselves. So I guess those are my 2 cents to my beautiful women in Canada.
You're listening to Everyday Moms, Changing the World for Their Kids, a podcast series by Hope and Healing International. Welcome to today's episode. My name is Joanna Lafleur, and I'm an ambassador with Hope and Healing. I'm thrilled you've joined us today, and I hope you'll find encouragement from the conversation. In today's episode, I'm chatting with Brenda Masengi, the CEO of a hospital in Tanzania and the mom of 3 girls. She's a busy professional and a busy mother. I had the privilege of meeting her in person in Tanzania just a few months ago, and I think you're going to love hearing the stories that come from the work of Hope and Healing through the hospital that Brenda Masengi is the leader of. If you like this conversation or know a mom who would find this conversation encouraging, please pass it on and visit hopeandhealing.org for more. So let's dive into the conversation now. Brenda, welcome to the podcast on behalf of Hope and Healing. It's really just so fun, but also a privilege to have you today.
Thank you so much, Joanna. I'm so honored. This is my first podcast, so I'm also excited about this.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Well, let's start then by please introduce yourself. I mean, before we hit record, you were at an awards ceremony last night, but we need to rewind. Why on earth is Brenda getting a reward at all? Please tell us about your work and what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Joanna. So that's a very interesting question. I was also pondering that, why Brenda? So I do many things. To start with, I'm the CEO of CCBRT, and I hope we can talk a bit about CCBRT. But apart from being an executive leader, I sit in different boards of governance in Tanzania. I get to speak. I'm a keynote speaker in different platforms. I'm also a TEDx speaker. I once did a TEDx on fistula. I'm a mother of 3 beautiful girls, of course, and I'm a wife as well. So I have so many hats. I play different roles in my church. I'm a church elder. So I think from community perspective, from work perspective, I do a lot of things, and not to forget, I also do a lot of mentoring and coaching. I have an online platform for especially for girls, and it's called Dear Girl Child BMK. So I'm also trying to bring others with me in my own journey.
Well, you really should step it up, Brenda. It sounds like you have some spare time, and you really should be using it for something better. No, it's amazing. It's and this is why we want to talk to you. It's inspiring what you're doing.
But I tell you, let me mention this, Joanna, since you said that yesterday during the award ceremony, 2 things came to my mind. One, it was, Brenda, you're not doing enough. When sometimes you're in your own cocoon and you're thinking, oh gosh, I'm doing so much. In my community and hoping for impact, and you listen to all these other powerful women, not only in your country, in other African countries as well, and the impact that they're having. And I thought, oh gosh, Brenda, you still have a long way to do. There's still more that you can do. That is one aspect of it. But the other thing, I said to myself, well done, Brenda. I literally did this. I said, well done, Brenda. Yeah. You're doing something right, so that you've been recognized. Because the award that I was given, It was outstanding CEO in Tanzania.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my goodness, if at all, my vision or my purpose in life is to inspire others. So if at all I'm regarded as an outstanding CEO, it's because I have an outstanding team here at CCBRT.
Wow. Well, tell us about CCBRT, Comprehensive Community-Based Rehabilitation in Tanzania. That's a long word, so we call it CCBRT.
That's right.
What is your role there? And then we'll get, and what is the whole organization?
Okay, so I am the current CEO. I'm the Chief Executive Officer. And I lead a team of 400 staff. And we are located in Dar es Salaam, but also we have a center in Moshi. Moshi is near the famous Mount Kilimanjaro. So what our mission really as CCBRT is to serve the most vulnerable. Okay, that is our core mission. This is why we exist. And we serve them in two ways. We are serving them by providing specialized quality clinical healthcare services, but also we are providing them services via the development programs that we have. So it's a mixture of clinical work, but also programs, but they're all really aiming to serve the most vulnerable. So in terms of the clinical services that we do, because this is a specialized area, we are providing services in the area of ophthalmology, in the area of orthopedics, in the area of plastics and reconstructive surgeries. Our new baby is obs and gyn work. This is a new maternity wing that we just opened, and
I was able to see it myself.
Yes, I know, and I actually acknowledged Hope and Healing for supporting our work as well in front of the president. So that was very special.
Oh, amazing!
Because we were so honored to have Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan, the president of Tanzania, who came, and we actually named this new maternity wing her name in her honor, because she's really doing a lot in terms of improving maternal healthcare in Tanzania. So OBS and Gyn is our new service, and we've crossed already the mark of 100 babies. And the first baby came on my birthday as well, so that was very special. It was a little girl. Yes, but also we are in the space of rehabilitation. We have we're doing a lot of rehab work for children, mainly with cerebral palsy. We have a sitting clinic, so we do assistive devices. We have a workshop to make prosthetic and orthotic for people with disability. So really disability, the area of disability and the area of maternal health, that's really where we are. So that is in terms of clinical services, but also in our programs, we have complementing programs to complement our clinical work. So if we talk about fistula, for example, we are the leading provider of fistula repairs in Tanzania. So we have a development program to empower these women who have received treatment here at CCBRT. That is called Mobility Center. But we also have an advocacy and disability inclusion program, really creating awareness about disability matters in Tanzania. And the government also looks at us as a technical advisor when it comes to matters to do with disability. Wow. We have an academy as well. An academy is not only for our own staff, but also for other staff in the space of healthcare. Really, we want to address the human resource for health in Tanzania and the gap there, and how can we upskill the skill sets of healthcare providers in Tanzania. So in a nutshell, Joanna, that's why I don't even have hair. This is what I do. And really, I am so humbled to be able to be part of this family and the amazing work that gets done every single day. Not only for the members of staff, but the patients that we're serving. You walk on those corridors every day. I mean, every day when I'm having a tough day in the office, I literally just open the door and I go to see the work that we're doing. I get to meet the parents. I get to meet the children that we're serving. And I get to hear their version of their story on how we have impacted them I mean, that is just so inspirational. And it just gives you that strength to get back into the office and say, come on, Brenda, you're not having a bad day, get cracking. You have people to serve out there, and they're all, looking at you to see how you can continue pushing this great work. So in a nutshell, Joanna, that's what I
love
do.
It. No, and of course, your inspiration is really coming from the people that you serve. I love Absolutely. That. I love that when you're having a bad day or you have a struggle or you're feeling like you want to.
You just go out.
You just go and meet the people. And we did that. Yeah. I had the privilege of being there with you. You toured us around. And I know exactly what you mean, when you walk through this hospital. But can you help paint a picture for those of us who haven't been able to see it? We'll want to connect with some images, and we'll put some links, of course, so people can see for themselves. But the focus of this podcast series is about these inspiring moms. Obviously, you are an inspiring mom, Brenda, but you meet a lot of mothers in this position at the hospital. Yeah. And what are some of the unique challenges that women are facing as moms of children with disability?
Okay, so first of all, most of them are single mothers. So that is difficult. Imagine having a child with a disability and you don't have a partner to support you during that journey. That is very difficult. So you have these mothers who are coming from very scarce resource. They cannot afford to access healthcare. They have a child with disability, and it's even difficult for them. They don't even know, probably they don't even understand the disability of their child. So a place like CCBRT offers that service for them. First of all, they have to understand what that disability is about. They have to manage their expectation, because some of the disability, they cannot be treated or fixed. If you talk about a clubfoot, we can treat clubfoot by whether it's Ponseti or whatever method that we use. And then that child can be now, can start school and go on to be the great footballers of this world, right? But you have children like with cerebral palsy, and they need probably lifelong rehabilitation. So it's also to take them through that journey with them, for them to understand and to manage their expectation. And these are the mothers who CCBRT covers those costs for them, because we have great partners like Hope and Healing who's supporting us to be able to make sure that costs is not a barrier for these mothers to access these services for their children. So these are the kind of the challenges that they're facing. And imagine sometimes they cannot go to work because they need to come for treatment with their children, because probably they cannot afford to have to put them in a daycare center, or assistance. Right. So it's really such a holistic way, and sometimes very complex, but you see how committed they are as a mother, right? And they go that extra strength, extra mile for their child, because they want to make sure that their child gets the best service. And some of them travel from far. And this is why as CCBRT, we're trying to break all these barriers, these as much as we can to these women. And I can give you many stories. I mean, one of the story last year, I was just passing along the corridors and I decided to pass by the Clubfoot Clinic. And I saw this grandmother with a baby, holding a baby. I think it was about 3 weeks old baby. So I went to say hello to her, and she said, I said, how did you get to know about this? I said, I didn't even know this was actually treatable. I didn't know clubfoot. I didn't even know that it's called clubfoot, and I didn't even know that it can actually be corrected. The reason how she knew that clubfoot can be corrected is CCBRT. We were doing an outreach in a certain area in Dar es Salaam. So she was passing by that where we were, and she got to hear about it. So when we were creating awareness of the services that we're doing, she saw the picture of before and after, and she realized, oh my goodness, my grandchild has exactly the same problem. Oh, wow. So then she brought the grandchild. Like, can you imagine that? So sometimes people continue to suffer because they're not aware. And this is why the work that we're also doing at CCBRT is to create awareness of the work that we're doing, because once people are knowledgeable, right, then they're aware and then they seek treatment. So she was so excited that day. It was our first day to come to start the Clubfoot treatment. And I was just, for me, I was like, oh my goodness, Brenda, because of the awareness creation we're creating, now this child will not have a permanent disability. Imagine if his grandmother was not passing by and saw us, us making noise about Clubfoot and, creating awareness about it. This particular baby would have just left because they thought no one told them that, listen, this can actually be corrected, because there's a lot that's still to be done to ensure that those babies do not have permanent disabilities.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think of, I remember walking down the halls with you and seeing the fistula program and the fistula program for women who've had, severe physical damage to their body from childbirth or, from sex or something. And we turned the corner and these women are singing in welcome to us, but praise to God. And it was a very moving moment to see women who thought they had no hope, thought that there was, for some, without that education that you're talking about, that information out in the community, for many women, they didn't know there was, a solution to this. Can you paint a picture of that condition for these mothers? Tell us a little bit more about it and what you're doing to impact those women.
Okay, so obstetric fistula it's a birth injury and due to obstructed labor. When you are, baby needs to come out, but your body is not ready for the baby to come out. So what happens is a little hole that causes urine to leak through the vagina or fecal matter to leak through the vagina without controlling yourself, right? Yeah. So these women will find themselves right after a terrible birth experience, they start leaking either urine or fecal matter or both, some of them. So as CCBRT, and mainly because they did not get the right quality maternal health care at the right time, right? It's either they were trying to deliver at home and they did not have a skilled personnel to help them, or they were at the facility, but the facility did not have a cesarean facility to do a cesarean section. So this is what happens. Now, what we do, when we started doing fistula repairs in Tanzania, we were actually doing about 40 women a year, right? But WHO were giving statistics of 2,500 to 3,000 new fistula cases every year in development countries like Tanzania. So we were wondering, where are these women if we're only doing 40 surgeries, right? So we did a survey in 2010, and two main things came up. One, it was awareness. There was a lot of myths and stigmatization about the condition. Because people did not understand what this condition was, it was associated with witchcraft. It was associated just myths and misconception that these women have been sleeping with many men. That's why they've had this condition. So there was no correct information about this condition. That was one. Number two, it was costs. Cost for treatment, cost for transport for where they live, because they come from very remote areas, some of them, to get to the facility where they can get the surgery, cost of food and cost of lodging, because they will stay in the hospital for about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the severity of the surgery that need to be done. So as a CCBRT, we decided to break those barriers. We said we want to make an impact for these women. And the only way we can do that is to break those barriers. One, to create awareness, what this thing is about. And it's not their fault as what the community is telling them. It is actually the healthcare has failed them. That's why they've resulted into this condition. And number two, to tell them we're going to make sure cost should not be a barrier to them. So what we do, we have more than 500 ambassadors ambassadors in Tanzania. An ambassador is anyone, like yourself, Joanna. You can be an ambassador. Basically, whenever you come across such woman in your community, you give us a phone call. We have a dedicated call center. You tell us, I found a woman in somewhere, a village called Toronto. And then we will send transport money, innovation via mobile money, because that transport money will go to the ambassador. They'll make sure they'll get the bus ticket or the train ticket or whatever means of transportation to ensure that the woman arrives in Dar es Salaam where we are, and we go and pick the lady up. It doesn't matter any time of the day. We are ready to go and pick this woman up. So since then, when we started breaking these barriers of cost and awareness, we're now doing 500 surgeries to 600 surgeries to 650 surgeries in a year.
Wow.
We have
from 40 to 600.
From 40 to 600, right? Now, we have a backlog of these women because there are women who have stayed with this condition for many years. The worst that I've seen since working at CCBRT, the years I've worked at CCBRT, was a woman who stayed with fistula for 63 years. Oh. She was 85 years when she came to CCBRT. She had fistula for 63 years. She was leaking urine for 63 years. And all this time, she did not know it was a medical condition.
Wow.
And we have the youngest that we've had. We have 12-year-olds. And again, early marriages. Right? Early pregnancies, they also result in this because their body is just not ready to have children, right? Mm-hmm. So they develop this condition. So we are here to say, we want to make sure for fistula women, we're looking at them holistically, not only to close that hole that they don't leak, we are looking at them emotionally, physically, their physical being, we're looking at them clinically. So we're looking, so that's the singing is actually part of healing. That singing, it's part of storytelling because everyone comes, they think their story is so unique and the most horrible story. And they hear another lady talking about her journey and they realize, oh my gosh, Joanna, my story is not that bad, right? So part of what you saw that day is there's a lot of teaching as well. We give them different skills. And then they join Mabinti Center. Remember, you visit Mabinti Center, where they get trained to do all sorts of products, and the famous Binti dolls as well, where it's an economic empowerment program for them to generate income for them. So it's just one of my passion. I mean, and as a matter of fact, my TEDx talk was about fistula.
Wow.
So you can also Google Brenda Msangi TEDx fistula, and you can learn more about fistula and the work we do at CCBRT.
Amazing. I'm seeing so clearly, even as you paint this picture of even how in some small way, big way, of course, Hope and Healing is a partner, Hope and Healing International partners. And
it's
I love that.
Solid partner.
Yeah. And, bringing hope and healing to kids and their moms, absolutely. That this is thinking about women and their children. And as you said, even grandmothers and grandchildren, getting the word out that hope is available, that whatever level of healing or rehabilitation is available, depending on the condition, that you want to both educate and then offer, and without any financial barriers to people. It's such a beautiful thing. And again, as I said, as we turned that corner and heard these women singing, really as a welcome to us, but also, like a praise to God for what has happened in their life and the new hope that they have. It's so moving. It's very emotional.
It's very emotional. Yeah, it is very emotional. I mean, I've had tears there sometimes, and sometimes you sit there, you see how other women, like when they listen to other women sharing their story, it gets so emotional. One of the most emotional one that I experienced is 4 years ago, where this lady was talking about her story and how difficult she had it. And one woman just stood up and she said, I want to pray for you. And she stood and she started praying for her because she felt, it's a God's grace. and the fact that even they got to know about CCBRT, the fact that they're here and they're not paying a single penny, because there are partners out there like Hope and Healing who are contributing to this amazing work. That's also God's grace. And we're grateful that we get to also see this in front of our eyes every single day at CCBRT.
You've shared that you're a mom yourself.
Yeah.
You have 3 daughters.
I do.
And so in some ways, this work it's personal to you, the work of mothers and daughters, moms, and the next generation of women that you are raising. As a mom, what brings you joy when you think of your children?
Oh my gosh. I sometimes look at them, I cannot even believe I'm their mom. I was like, oh my God, Brenda, you are their mom. It's so humbling, because you have these 3 individuals, 3 different personalities, so courageous and brave and challenge me sometimes, and it's a different generation. I was not raised the way we're raising these. I mean, this is a completely different generation, right? And their reasoning, the level of reasoning, and they're critical thinkers. They talk facts. It's so you as a parent, it's no longer about do this. No, okay, why? But why should I do this? And it's just a different level, different level of engagement with my girls, and sometimes, because I'm wearing so many different hats, it's so difficult, Joanna. I will not sit here and say it's easy. It is not easy. And sometimes I'm having my difficult days as a mother, as a leader, and as so many things. And sometimes I need to be okay with it, because sometimes I drop some balls, and I've learned not to be too hard on myself, and to remind myself that, Brenda, you're also trying your level best. And also for my kids and my girls to also understand that, their mother is juggling so many different balls. I try to be in their school plays. I try to be in their, their teacher engagements at school. And I have a very solid support system. I have a great husband who also support me to be able to function, to be the best that I can be in what I do. And for my girls, I mean, what I wish for my girls is for them to know that they all have a purpose. They have a specific purpose that God has brought them to do on this earth. No matter how later on things will be difficult, they'll think they're struggling, they have to remember that they have a purpose. And we need to know your purpose is not necessarily your job that you're employed to do. Some people are lucky that they're working for their purpose, but you might be a great accountant, but also you have a purpose on earth. So I just want them to know, and they get to leave that purpose, whatever that will be, that God has brought them on this earth.
I love that. I love what you're trying to pass on to your daughters, and also know that you're a human too, that there's this great joy, but huge challenge to being a mother. And I'm sure in some ways you see yourself reflects the mirror back from your daughters, from your children to yourself of who you are.
I do. Yeah.
You're saying, why do you always do such and such? And then you're like, oh, wait, I do that too.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, when you think of the Canadian moms and grandmas who are listening to our conversation today, what would you like to maybe first, what is a challenge for them? And then second, we'll ask, what is an encouragement to those women who are listening to us today, in their own life and their own ability to participate in bringing hope to others with disability?
Okay. First of all, I think it's such being a woman, it's such a blessed thing. Because we have been blessed by God by having all these different abilities, and sometimes we downplay them, and sometimes we don't really get credit enough, because we juggle We are mothers, we are leaders in our own, whatever impact that we're bringing. We work, we want the best for our families. And sometimes we even forget ourselves, right? We tend to do everything for others and we actually forget to take care of ourselves. So I'm just reminding all of us, self-care. We cannot give from an empty cup. So I just want to remind all of us, including myself and you beautiful women in Canada, let us remember to replenish our own cups. The more we replenish, the more we can continue to give. That is one. The other thing that I want to say is wherever you are, you can have a huge impact, right? It doesn't matter what you do. It's the little things that you do that it's like a snowball effect, right? So never think just because you are in this area that you are, you cannot have this huge impact. Every little thing does add up. So don't think you're not well resourced. Don't think you're not well educated. Don't think you need something else to add. No. Wherever you are, with the level of education you have, with the level of resource that you have an opportunity to bring impact. So please continue to inspire others, because it's only when we share our stories, and sometimes we think our stories are not great enough to inspire, but trust me, you'll be amazed when you share your story. Another woman will be encouraged, another woman will be inspired to do more with themselves. So I guess those are my 2 cents to my beautiful women in Canada.
Oh, Brenda, you are an inspiration as you're encouraging others to remember that they are. I'm reminded in our conversation that you have inspired me and you continue to do so.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored that I've got an opportunity to be in this podcast series. As I said, this is my first podcast, so I hope I did good, Joanna.
Brenda Masengi, CCBRT CEO, mom, and international sensation. Thank you so much for your time.
That's a new one. Thank you so much, Joanna. Send lots of love to everybody in Canada.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Everyday Moms Changing the World for Their Kids. At Hope and Healing, our mission is to bring hope and healing to children with disabilities in the world's poorest communities. You can go to hopeandhealing.org to learn more. We hope you enjoyed the conversation with Brenda Masengi, and please share with your friends so we can encourage even more people with this work.